So this is what I've had so far. I'll just take you through. I put this here so I could put information about me in case anything happens, because I have lost 3 books that I've made, like handmade planners, in the mail before when I was moving. And these you've seen me do process videos for. If you haven't, I'll make the link available in this video. In looking at it now, what I did with the last book is that I put washi tape on this section, so it's feeling kind of brittle, so I think I will do that. And this I decided to just staple it because the fastener I used was just kind of bulky, so this way I can still see the other side. You can still see what's under here by flipping it up. Some of these I still need to write things, so I just reminded myself I still have the sticky notes from when I was doing the page. I put a pocket here because I know I probably want to write some more. Some of this. Need to protect these pictures. Somewhere for me to write about the day there. So you'll see that some of them, the pages are completely done, and others and I'll have to go back to. I've used plastic on some of those pages where you have pictures on both sides, because what I saw happen with this, where the picture got damaged because there was something else there and there were sticky notes on it, I didn't want the same thing to happen, so I put some plastic where I know that the pictures would come flush together like that. Still need to write a little bit about this. Quick wrap I made. Pockets for when I went shopping. You see in this page I made this page changed, and I'm going to show you that process because I didn't like how it looked in the end, so I went back and just redid this side, and even then I made some other changes after, so I'll show you that here. When I put this here, because I had to reinforce this, it says I've sewn this book 3 times now, because I wasn't sure how big it would get, and then I made it too big and had to cut it down again. And I realized when I took out the signature, this page was coming apart, so I had to cover it, so to bolster it, so some of the writing got covered. And I was gonna rewrite it, but I think it's fine. It's just basically talking about going to the dentist, having that pain for several days, and just giving up and going to the dentist. You can tell I hate dentists. Yeah, I was watching the last season of Insecure. Yeah, so these pages are just hodgepodges. Got this from my workplace. You know, the provost sent us a Christmas card, and I went shopping for some final gifts, and I put the receipts in here. Still need to write, so I have this sticky note here to remind myself. I went and got teriyaki chicken and spring roll, and I love the bag so much I preserved it that those little spring rolls come in. Another card from Spellman. This was President sent us that, so I just use it as a flip out for these pictures I took at Atlantic Station. Then 24, the day before, wrapped all my presents, and I was gonna travel down to my sister's, but I put them under the tree when I was finished with each one. I put them under my tree, just so, you know, at least there were some presents under my tree, even though I don't really spend Christmas at my apartment. But family, and we went along with them to church, and I like that this was kind of festive, so I wore that skirt because it was still Christmas. Then I made a pocket here. And this is the food. You can write a little bit about that here. And later the kids thought, you guys seem to have forgotten it's Christmas. So we opened presents later in the evening. Show this because my sisters, on the 26th, my sisters and I opened presents. So I only traveled on this day, so there's not much, but you know, I did get some grocery. Didn't take any pictures that day, so I was just adding some scraps here and there. I may add more. This one I was working on updating, so I just have some places to write more, and I have some, as I said, because this page has a lot of pictures that will be flush, and I decided to just do the same here in case I put anything up there. So went back and got my tooth extracted. Not fun, and it's a good thing that I have this here because this picture is getting ruined. They told me in the first 24 hours you can have ice cream, something cold, you know. The pain didn't last as long as my first tooth extraction some years ago when I did my wisdom teeth. Had to have all 4 of them removed at once. That was not a good time. I think that was where my aversion to dentists started, because that was such a horrible experience. And because I had to have soft foods, I felt in the mood for cornmeal porridge, so I looked up a recipe with a Jamaican cornmeal porridge recipe and just snapped some pictures of the process. I wanted to print them smaller so I could, you know, do more with the page, but I didn't do much that day. I stayed in all day nursing my aching gums. and that was it. Also stayed in, but it was so rainy that I quickly put all my plants, and I have this cover here so that, you know, just another picture I had of the cornmeal porridge. I put my plants outside so it could get rain. It was so warm. It was like 63 degrees Fahrenheit. So the plants were out there for 2 days. We got consistent rain. It wasn't freezing, so they didn't wilt or hurt the leaves. And then I brought them back in. And I didn't do much this day, but I've made this so that I can write a reflective passage about 2021, what it was like, what I learned, things I want to remember. I didn't take any pictures, so there are no pictures on this day, but have lots of places to write and as well. Yeah, and so that was my December, and sewed it 3 times, but I finally got the right width. This is not too big, not too small. I do have the closure, and I still have things I can do in it, but just recording it is tricky and challenging. But I think you get the gist of what that was like. I do want to show you my plans for January, what I've done, and about updating the previous years. So I showed you like last time that this would be my catch-up book 2021, but because December was in this book, I thought, well, maybe this is what I should do. I should make this just a continuity, that this is the end of 2021 and this would be like what I'm catching up for the earlier parts of 2021, and it seems like a set. So I decided to do that here. So I sewed all of these signatures in, 9 signatures. I was gonna do 10, but I'm thinking that I will need to give it space to grow because it's gonna have a lot. And so I have the March to October. I may put to November in here if it can hold. So we'll see how that goes. And what I've decided to do, because I look at all of these catch-up books and it seems so overwhelming, I said there's no way that I can do all of this. And I realized what I'll do is I'll just update that day in 2022, 2021, and 2019, because I did update the 2020 books up to March 2020. So like here, this is going to be 2019, and I went through, already printed the pictures for January. And so since I'm catching up for the first week of January in my 2022 book, then I'll just have 3 books to work in for one day, so it won't be overwhelming. It's just like I'm doing 3 spreads or 2, because I did do 2021 January, that small book. So if I decide to go back and make the book bigger, like I was thinking, I would have 3 books doing 1 spread, so 3 spreads per entry. So it was great to go back and look at what was going on. I do remember things that were happening just by looking at pictures. I don't remember everything, but I do have other ways of looking up stuff. I know I was sick this day. I know that we had a visitor from one of my Kimberley fellows coming to my class and to do a reading in the reading series that we had at SUU. And the next day I was still feeling poorly, and this I think was a weekend, stayed home and worked, you know. So I do remember some things, but mainly it's going to be a pictorial with some writing. I look back on stuff, but I think I'm excited about doing it now because now it feels possible, and knowing that the semester is gonna start shortly, I can't commit myself to doing like whole books, you know. But if I can do a page a day, at least for 2022 and 2019, it's gonna be feasible. And so of course we have all of these, you know, and I'll see how far it takes me, because I might have to print smaller pictures. It's just cheaper to print them 4x6. So there's that. Now I also want to show you what I plan to do for this year, and that's the book, that's the main book that I'll be working on for January for 2022. So I made this small book. I like the width, and I like that it's not letter size, so it's not too big and intimidating like I was doing with my December book. I know that in December there's an explosion of creativity and crafting, but if I keep it simple during the year, I have a better chance of actually completing the documentation process. So I have my calendar, and just took it from this book that I got at Walmart. So I have these calendar books that's the same size. I'll try to keep the books this size, and so I have this calendar, and I'll do one page across like I was doing in December book, or I might do one page like that. It all depends on what's happening, if that day is, you know. No, I think I'll do it one across like this, because I did measure it out so that it would take us to the 31st. Yeah, so this is gonna be my January 2022 book. Sounds like such a futuristic year to be documenting in such an old book, but I guess that's just my thing. I also want to show you these two. That this one is going to be my daily journal. That's personal stuff. I have written some stuff, and in the back I put a collage because I love using these sort of ink, these gel pens, and they bleed through tea-dyed paper sometimes. Well, not bleed through, but you can see the writing. So I like to put the collage on the back. And so this is how I will be doing my more personal journal. But as you know, one thing I've been consistent with from 2014, even if I haven't done a video updating it, is my writing log. This one is volume 11. I need to put a label on here, but this is basically just where I talk about my writing life, projects I have, obligations, and about, you know, publications and writing opportunities, you know, story ideas. This is where I document that, and I've done that for 10 volumes. This is the 11th, and sometimes it can go all the way to the end of the year, like I did with this one from last year. So I actually did that with this, but most of the time a smaller book like this lasts me 4 months max. But this one I realized I wasn't documenting as much, but it was contained from January to December for this year. So it got a little bulkier because I was going to do December in another book, but I said no, let's try to make it whole, and so I added some more pages to the last signature. So, you know, this book, I have some scribblings about what I'm planning, opportunities, story ideas, you know. I do have a few more pages in here, but I have written stuff on my phone that I'm gonna transcribe, so I just made sure to put some interesting stuff on the other side, because as I said, sometimes you have bleed through, sometimes you don't, depending on the type of pen I use. Like, you know, sometimes I put another page there so it's kind of thick, because I don't like to always see, because you know, you can kind of see it here, the writing. So it all depends. But yeah, this is my 10th volume complete, well, basically, and I've started a new one, this one, for the year. And I love these aged kind of paper. It motivates me to write. For some reason, I've stuck with this style for a while now.